I remember you guys, when you first got, it's been Freddie as the GM since the beginning, right?
I mean, I would say
we hired him a year in,
and then he became a manager within like 4 or 5 months. And so then he became a DM probably in like 2-3 years, as far as like him, like Kyle and I were taking, interactions at the counter.
Yeah.
Up until we had like four locations.
Yeah. That's, I don't know how you guys did that. We got to 3 and I had to pull out.
We didn't have it defined though, to be fair. And we had 2 of us.
Yeah.
So we got to a point, in the weird point where it's like, we have to have a manager at this store, right? But I'm still taking transactions in the store. Well, who's fucking leading the store? So it's like, it's hurting the fucking manager. It's not letting them like bloom into like who they need to become as like
all of those difficult conversations with staff about, making sure that the experience for the customer is, 10 out of 10. You're still handling those conversations if you're there.
Yeah.
And you're correcting, it's basically at some point or another, you have to pull that plug or else, managers, it just gets to a point where it's like, am I the manager? Or are you going to do all this stuff? I don't know.
Right. There's just almost this natural like human instinct to just like look to you anytime there's a problem, where if you just weren't there, they just would figure it out on their own.
We were already psychos for the first year we were open. It's like, I don't know if we let, I don't even know if 100 transactions got taken that weren't from us. And we had like 3 people working for us. It was just like, we're not going to let you take any transactions. You guys,
the more you recognize it now more than ever. It's and it only gets harder as things become more convenient, and as things. It's just when supplements are just prevalent in so many more places and showcased well or marketed well. There's not that same level of like, does this really work? I feel like attached to supplements as it once was. And so to make somebody loyal, it just takes a true, genuine interaction where you feel like, you brought a lot of value to this person.
Right.
And so how much value can somebody brand new really truly bring to every customer, right? There's a handful of customer problems that they can solve extremely well, and you can be very proud, and they can be very loyal. But the amount of different interactions that happen inside a store, there's only so much value that a new person can bring. And so that's what makes it so difficult you can stay afloat, but to grow, it really truly takes people being loyal.
Right. Absolutely, man. I pass this along to our new guys all the time, is I don't feel like I truly hit my stride and really got comfortable until a year of being in the store. That I remember like 6 months in, I started to feel like I was comfortable, and Vincent sat me down and had a conversation with me of like, hey, like, you sound confident, but you're doing a handful of things wrong. So that was
sounds like some good coaching from Vincent.
It was great coaching from Vincent. I learned a lot from it. It was a very humbling moment. And now I get to pass that along to our guys. But I mean, going back to, you guys getting to put Freddie in that district manager position, man, that was, I remember seeing that. It was like super, it was such a cool moment for you guys. And obviously that was quite a bit ahead of time for, when we did it, but I was like, man, that's a big moment right there, man, where you're no longer having to manage the managers. Cause we got to, three managers, and I was already, between that and everything else that I'm doing with, budget, inventory, defined nutrition, it was like, man, I'm not giving the attention that I need to, or that our managers deserve. So having Thomas step into that role was definitely like a really cool moment. So
with this, and first off, congratulations on that, by the way. And congratulations to Thomas. That's a long time coming. When it comes to this freedom that you've been given to be able to work on the business, right, versus in the business, where do you feel like, you're going to put your attention, Kevin? Is it going to be more towards the Define brand? Is it going to be growing more stores? Where does, Triad and Define go from here?
I would say with having Thomas step into that role, he's going to be doing a better job of managing the managers than again I was doing. So it kind of fills a big void there, so that I can kind of pull my attention away from more of the day-to-day of the operations of the stores. And over the last 2 years, we had a guy that put a lot of effort into our Define Nutrition wholesale. So Define Nutrition primarily survives in our stores and sales in Oklahoma City. We do a little bit of direct to consumer, and we had
newly founded supplement superstores in Kansas City as well, though.
What's that?
Define is also found at Supplement Superstores in Kansas City.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Super excited to be in there. And you
just
guys
part of that growth is all I'm just highlighting the fact that like it is growing.
Yeah. Then it's kind of cool to see it full circle again. And you guys were instrumental in helping with that, because we're in St. Louis locations as well. So super excited for that, and a big reason that I'm putting a lot of attention towards Define Nutrition now. So that was honestly a big push for putting Thomas in that role, is so that I could step away from that and focus more on Define Nutrition. And that was something that we had been working on for quite a while now. We had a guy that we hired a couple of years ago that was super ambitious. He was working in the store and he just wanted more opportunities. And he said, kept coming to me, hey, what do you have on the Define Nutrition side of things? I would love to be more involved with that. I would love to help grow that. And I told him, hey, we've always structured our pricing and our products and everything to be prepared to do wholesale, but that is just a whole another business, man. It's a whole nother thing that like I haven't even like scratched the surface with. Like we've had some accounts pick us up whenever the opportunity presents itself. It's like, man, I've never committed to any regular work with that because I know how much that's going to take. But we have it generally set up, and if you want in your free time in between customers, or just if you want to put some time into it, we can pay you a portion of what we would be making from that in total. So if you grow it, you could take a little bit extra home, so that there's some incentive for the work that you're putting in. And I said, hey, find one city and find the best supplement store in that city. And he came to me the following week and he's like, I found 5 cities and I found all the best supplement stores in all 5 cities, and I already reached out to them. I was like, okay, that was way more than I asked you to do, but that's awesome because that's genuinely what it took. So he essentially just hit the ground running, really, really got to the point where he started gaining traction with Define Nutrition for us and it genuinely wasn't easy. There was about a year where we weren't really doing much with it at all, and he was putting a lot of work in. Took some tweaks to the program overall, to our wholesale side of things. Made some manipulations, made some changes to how we do things, our pricing a little bit, and started to really gain some traction. Unfortunately for us, he did get offered a really nice sales job in the medical industry recently, and I think it was just one of those that was too good to pass up. But
was this device sales or like medical in the sense of like pharmaceutical?
I want to say it. I'm honestly, I'm not sure. I just know it is for retirement communities primarily. So I think it's device sales, I believe. But
that's a whole nother like topic of conversation. You're a growing business.
Yeah. How old's this guy?
Yeah.
He is mid-20s.
Man, ground floor type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we were talking about before the
didn't
podcast.
want to delay gratification just a little longer.
Yeah.
It's like there is, there's so much upside if you're able to, get things rolling.
Yeah.
What made you?
But the wait's longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you want to go more all in on wholesale than direct to consumer? Because I feel like in this day and age, every supplement brand, all they want to do is pull all the margin to themselves, and or if they're going to wholesale,
for our listeners, all that means is
wholesale out of like
they're cutting out the middleman,
right?
And so if you are a retailer that does not make your own supplements, then you bought direct from the brand, and then you're reselling to the consumer. And if you cut out that retailer and you're just selling online directly to the consumer, you can make more money on that product.
Right. Yeah. Which is definitely tempting to grow that side of the business a little bit more. I would say we've kind of just gone with the flow more than anything. Is we've got general programs or general plans and systems and structures set up for both and in a number of parts of our business. So we've got obviously we do sell online like most supplement companies do. It's not that hard to set up a website and put your stuff for sale. We've even got an ambassador program that's got a general structure to it as well. And it just like I was explaining our wholesale program, I had the pricing and the general plan for how we're going to reach out and build relationships and all that but from there, I kind of it just depends on our guys, because I don't have the capacity to do really either of those things. That it's if people want opportunities, they want extra responsibilities, they want to take on more, is we pass them something like that, where we've got a couple of people that are putting some effort into our ambassador program, so that could grow our direct to consumer sales. But that's generally has gotten a little bit more effort just more recently, more than anything. So like maybe that will grow, and we put effort in that. So it's, to answer your question, it's really more dependent on
manpower,
on and where our guys want to put the effort in, to be honest with you.
It's kind of my opinion or observation of I've been in the supplement industry now for a long time, and it seems like the brands that have staying power have a big presence in wholesale, because it seems easier to build a culture around a brand and build excitement around a brand, and have people that are going to push out whenever you release a product. If you have people in stores that are recommending that product, it seems much easier on the brand side. So, kind of going back to what we were saying, where it's like delayed gratification, it seems like building a brand with the bedrock of it being wholesale is a better recipe for long-term success, or at least that's kind of the staying power that, brands that have staying power typically have a model that's like that. They do a lot of business out of wholesale, and they have wholesale accounts that are excited about their brand.
Certainly the ones that have sold, that have been around a long time, have had some massive exits, right? I think of like Diamondized Nutrition, BSN, but it's wild to see those brands. They certainly don't have the same luster as they once did as far as their shine goes.
Yeah, because private equity comes in and chops everything up and makes it more profitable.
Right. For them anyway.
Sucks the culture out of the brand, it feels like. But, you don't hear a lot from Steel Supplements.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot from Redcon.
That is an interesting thing, though, that happened in the industry, where it's like, with the rise of social media, it's like, if I get enough followers, I can just pop open a brand. And it used to be most of those brands would be unsuccessful, but then Instagram came around, and it's like now there's plenty of them that are really successful. Like,
dude,
Bum.
How about just Prime? Just YouTubers.
Yeah,
just Prime.
Sell a lot of them.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The combination of what's his face, and then
Logan
Paul, and then KS1 or whatever from
KSI
from England.
I know more about culture than you.
Thanks, dude. Certainly YouTube culture, but it's wild to see. I'll never forget hearing the Kardashian girls talking about, like, Kim Kardashian's like, yeah, when you came out with something, like, you would do like you would have to do a couple of all the late night shows. You have to do, stop by Jimmy Fallon, stop by Jimmy Kimmel, David Letterman at the time. You had to go by all these, and then also, like, do the Today Show, doing all the daytime shows and stuff. And then Kylie and Kendall were like, we just make a post on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it gets more eyeballs than all of those things combined.
Yeah. I feel like, do you feel like you've noticed a shift recently too, with like certain posts generally not doing well and other posts doing extremely well?
Yeah, it's hard to nail down the algorithm.
The algorithm seems, I don't know, it feels to me very straightforward. Sex sells, and being divisive sells. Those were the two things I noticed. It's like if you throw a butt in it, or you throw like
I've been throwing so many butts up,
or just throwing like just like a really divisive statement that you just know is going to get people some clickbait. Just straight up clickbait. Like, this is the best pre-workout of all time, just because 100 people are going to jump on there, but pre-workout sucks. And but it just gave it so much traction. So we just showed you our friend who is a wife of a UFC fighter, and he talks about her having a dump truck you could bounce a quarter off of, and it had 288,000 views or likes, which means the views were in the millions.
Yeah,
and he's won several fights before that, and 30,000 views.
Yeah,
I think this is kind of off subject, but I think a lot of social media actually has become like unconsumable. It's so bad. Some of it, like, there was that trend that was like legitimately 1 second of something happening, and it was getting traction, and I was like, what is this? Like,
that became a trend where it was 1 second. Yeah. So what comes to mind for you though? What made you bring that up?
What on the polarization of?
It was just more of that. like the algorithm, trying to figure that out. Like, what do you feel like, what's the posts that come to mind for you when you say that?
Probably no posts in general. Well, one does come to mind. We did we had a big event, a couple weekends ago where we had the Trend Twins out. They just launched their brand, and so we brought their brand in because it was not expected, because usually you guys know influencer brands are a lot of times pretty cheap and they don't really have much say
and won't even try to do retail typically.
Yeah. And we didn't even know if they would offer wholesale, because most of the time they're like, we just
Gorilla Mind for the longest time, as you're drinking their drink, they wouldn't be in retail.
Right. And we would have people just all the time coming and asking for Gorilla Mode. So we reached out and it turns out they actually have a fantastic wholesale program, and their formulas were like, it's legitimately cold temperature processed protein, and their formulas are all full disclosure, like good doses. I was like, holy crap, like you don't usually see influencer brands like that.
Certainly.
But we had them out, and we got this was the stat that was interesting for us. So like on our Triad page, our stores page, we usually get somewhere around 100 likes, some 200-300, some only get like 50 or so, and usually we get like a couple thousand views, 2,000-3,000 views on most of our stuff. We posted that they were coming out, and it got over 2,000 shares, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, 2,000 people sharing this? It was just unreal to me. And it was just, but then like the very next post is,
gets buried.
It just gets buried. And it's gotten so polarized recently. I feel like that.
It's wild. Like, it's like lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? Like my story views, I just got married. If it's something that people will compare themselves to, crazy, and like, that's the way I see it. It's just like the most toxic behavior possible is like what gets the most. So it's like a new car, you're married, someone's on vacation, just anything that goes through the lens of like, I want to compare what they're doing to my life gets the most views. If you're like, I'm really stoked to just be, I'm super proud of this or that, it's like that gets a decent amount, but it's like not as much as like the look at me stuff.
Yeah. We're doing that fundraiser right now, and I posted a thing where it was like, we'll match every dollar that's donated, and I bet I have I don't even have 200 views on that.
I reshared,
and I'll get over 1,000 on like I got over 1,000 on my son with a mane on two nights ago. It's like, why do they bury it? Like, that is a positive thing, but they bury it because they associate it with business.
Yeah.
And they're trying to not allow people to get free marketing. I get it. I get the business model behind it.
I post my wife, 1,000 views. I post about sharing, trying to raise money for breast cancer during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we're going to match it dollar for dollar. It's under 200.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Kind of sad, but the Trend Twins, man, a lot of people trying to copy their swag. They kind of like, they are
Luke specifically.
Luke
over here specifically.
Well, I just see a lot of kids now like doing what they used to do, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that on social media?
They are. I don't know if I follow those people on social media. I
just get fed the random.
Oh yeah.
Random reels where it's like suggested reels.
Yeah.
Or if you're death scrolling,
Yeah.
Doom scrolling.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
The kids are children call it.
Yeah.
They are definitely. I'm an older generation than the one that follows the Trend Twins for sure, because I didn't realize how big they were. Like it was a lot of people that came out for that. But yeah, it was. I was talking to one younger kid in line about, I've got my workout buddy, and he didn't spot me correctly, so I stood up and I punched him, kind of deal. And I was like, maybe not setting the best example here, but like meeting them in person, they were super cool, man. They legitimately stayed past dark to meet everybody. So it's like, I think there's a little bit of a difference between their personality on YouTube and their personality in person.
I'm sure.
They're really strong business people.
When did you start working in the industry? Dude. What year did you start at Supplement Superstores?
There's a good story behind that picture, too, by the way, Luke.
Supplement Superstores, I started 2013, I believe.
Wow. So look at that ragtag.
Look at that shaker in the front. So that's a throwback. But
only person who's in the hard hat?
That's Kevin.
That's me.
What? That's you?
Yeah, dude, that's Kev.
Bro, it didn't look like you at all.
Dude, it doesn't look like any of us. It was 10 years ago.
mean, Thomas still looks like
I think it's legitimately 2013. Is it 11 years ago?
That might have.
Or 12. To the bottom. Like literally just right. No, Luke, you're looking in the wrong spot. Right there.
Oh, that's a repost from me. I shared that at one point talking about,
Well, that picture just showed up on my Facebook, right? And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is, ironically, I thanked a girl named Michelle on there because she baked us those baked goods.
Yeah.
And Michelle was in my wife's wedding party.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She moved up here and met my wife at her work, and they became good friends and then like best friends.
Just like coincidence or wow. And that was her baked goods.
She brought us some cookie dough stuffed cookies.
So you've been working in the industry since 2013. Mm-hmm. Since then, opened your own store, started a brand. What do you think since the time that you started working till now? What has changed most in the industry?
I would say popular social media brands and energy drinks, honestly.
Energy drinks, dude, for sure.
That's a great one. Yeah.
My God, that was a good call. I wouldn't have thought that one, but that is true. You got to buy pallets of energy drinks per store per week.
Bang energy drinks at the time, whenever you and I were working together, that was like the big deal. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Bang, before, like most people don't know this, but Bang came out as an energy shot, which was the trend prior to energy drinks. The popularity of 5-hour energy turned into, now there was like 6-hour energy and 7-hour energy and 8-hour energy. And then Bang was, because it was a shot, like a shot from a gun. So they called it a Bang. Yeah. And that was because it was a little energy shot. And their drinks were the red lines. Mm-hmm. And so it was so wild that they came out with this energy drink called Bang. And we're like, man, is this even going to sell? And then over time, all of a sudden, that was like, people were coming into our store just because they could get Bang at our store.
We had to double the size of our fridge at our first location simply because Bang came out with so many flavors.
Right.
Yeah. I love explaining to some of our newer guys, because we actually just added a legitimately a second fridge at all of our locations just to be able to face all of the energy drinks we're supposed to have, or maybe should have. But I love explaining to all our new guys that that's all they know, because they've only worked for us for 6 months, year and a half, whatever, that when I first started working at a supplement store, there was not a single energy drink, and then Bang got released and we had 4 flavors.
Yeah.
That's it.
And when we opened up our first location, it was like, I think we had a dozen energy drinks. It was all Bangs. So
let's think
they
about
they would all expire too. Everything that was in your fridge was just waiting to expire.
Yeah.
Let's talk. This will be a fun game. Try to go around the room and name off an energy drink brand that we've carried or that you've carried that no longer is in this fridge at all. I'll start with what was the one that was all the different hero names? Or not the heroes, I'm sorry. All of them were like freedom drinks. America Labs.
That was the one I was going to say, actually. Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
It was core nutrition.
They still make them.
Yeah, those are your boys.
Mm-hmm.
But they still make them?
Yeah.
We haven't carried them in years.
Yeah, I think at some point we had to start dictating, you know how it is, where it's like, okay, how much are we selling of these, and try and make some decisions on we can't carry every
Red,
energy drink
Yep.
there is.
What was the other flavors? They had a cool one. The orange one was my favorite.
Orange was good. They had Make America Grape Again.
Amazing. Amazing.
They came out with a Donald Trump one.
That was it. Make
That was
America
it, yeah.
Grape Again, dude. What else could it be?
Their cream soda was the best.
Liberty, freedom, victory, justice. What was the orange one over there? What's that say?
Oh, yeah, impeachment.
Impeachment was that was one of the first flavors. I mean, dude, amazing. I mean, those were hilarious. And that was during the era.
Speaking of that, Titan Nutrition.
Stars and Pipes.
Trigger warning. Have you seen the front of that? Do you guys carry Titan?
Yeah.
It's got Donald Trump on the front of it.
Dude, they were quick to get that out.
I know.
The gunshot fight stance.
Yeah.
It was Trump when he was yelling fight into the mic after he got shot.
I got a drink for you. Indo Rush.
Oh, that's a classic. Ooh. Okay.
The little ones, the little syrup is basically like drinking syrup, but man, that was one of the first ones that I used to drink a lot.
Man, I don't want to lose it. What was the one that they copied it? Speed Stack.
Speed Stacks were popular.
Look up Speed Stack.
They had so much.
Speed Stack Grape was like the little root beer, the little barrels, the little barrel drinks, little rainbows.
They make you feel terrible because they had so much Synephrine on.
Yeah, the ABBs.
ABB Speed Stack.
I remember that being, that's what I remember is like, that was like, if you needed something like just for like some quick energy, that's all we had.
The OG energy drink. Bring it back with you can't even see the liquid. You know what I mean? Like
That's not the old, that's not the old label.
Yeah. Well, it still has DMAE in it, dude. What's another drink that comes to mind for you, Kev?
Oh man, dude, I was actually going to use Miracle Labs because I don't think they make those anymore.
Right.
They don't make them anymore?
No.
Try to tell you, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's hard game. The energy drink game, everybody wants to be in it, but
it's
until they get in it and they realize it's not a good.
I bet you half the seltzers are gone that were there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Seltzers in general, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
The Celsius?
Seltzers. I'm getting into like the Bud Light
Celsius.
seltzer.
Oh, gotcha.
White Claw, like that
Alcohol,
craze.
yeah.
All of a sudden, it was like a million seltzers, right? Corona made a seltzer. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Have you guys seen that parody video? That's like it's like, oh yeah, Barnes and Noble seltzer, like, like everybody, J.C. Penney's.
Have you seen there's of course, like when South Park gets on it, you know it's crazy.
Yeah.
And South Park was talking about how like because there's so many streaming services, they don't have enough shows. And like Netflix just answers the phone like, Netflix, you're greenlit. What do you got? They answer the phone. Netflix, you're greenlit. What's your idea? I want to do a grooming. I want to do a reality show where the best groomer, dog groomer, wins based on their grooming skills.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
And they're like, cool. What are we going to call it? Here today, groom tomorrow. And it actually was a real show at the time. Like, perfect. Let's make a show out of that.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of any other energy drinks that have been discontinued, to be honest. But like, to your point though, like you see, I feel like a lot of people saw like, man, it's booming. It's continuing to grow. And so everybody is like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's a market that's just growing like crazy. We got to get in on this. But it's like, okay, but yeah, everybody also is at the same time. So
how do you make it quality? I mean, how do you stand out?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, Jocko's, his drinks are great.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think the way you stand out from my standpoint,
100 milligrams of
if I drink an energy drink, it's Jocko Go or Bum. And the reason I do that is because they're only 100 milligrams of caffeine. If I do 300 milligrams of caffeine, it make me crash.
Yeah.
So
wait, is this one 300?
Or maybe that's 250. 200.
Okay.
That's a good tweener.
I was
there's a ton
that's a good
of
tweener.
nootropics in that one though.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoyed those.
I like the Bums too. Again, I like the can. Do you hear they're switching up? I think they're switching up the cans to be skinny cans. But I like the little soda
I like the
can
stubby.
stuff.
I like the red stripe look.
Yeah.
Have you had the root beer?
Yeah.
It's the best energy drink there is. It tastes so good.
Did you guys ever have the Bang root beer?
Oh God. Oh God.
That
was terrible.
Whoever greenlit that flavor needs to be fired.
Hey, scroll a little bit. Hit that. Hit me with that NOS right there, Luke. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Yeah, see, the kids don't even know. People used to.
I'm pretty sure they still sell it.
I know, but
in gas stations,
people used to drink that on purpose.
Yeah,
which is wild.
All right,
just drinking out of that bottle.
What about? Does The Rock still have his energy drink?
Zoa,
is that still around?
I think he sold that for like $1 billion.
Did he really?
No, I mean, like, let's hope not. But he's definitely killed it with Terramana. He made over $1 billion on that.
The tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which like took him 2 years.
Jeez,
you know, proper.
I mean, that's
number 12.
the power of having a personal brand that big.
Alex Hormozy talks about that with his his argument. Like he was once fighting with someone about like how he doesn't want to do a personal brand, and then he was like, Kylie Jenner, billionaire. All from her having a massive amount of following, and he's like, "What is she doing better than me?"
There's a lot that goes into that,
and he was like, "Damn,
that's not just her personal brand."
Of course, no, of course not. But he uses that as an example in Terramana and proper number 12 with Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
selling that for something.
The Rock or Conor McGregor is a better use of example in that.
Oh well, Zoa, I've tried one from like a Sam's sample lady, sweetheart at Sam's, and it was just bubbly, lightly flavored, drink. It was just like, this is Propel from high school. You remember Propel?
Yeah.
It was like,
how strong is it?
Gatorade with 10th of the flavor.
Yeah. Where they just, took a lemon and they waved it over it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Had a nice feminine color to it as far as the drink goes. It was a real nice pastel, translucent pink. I was like, this will be great. Yeah. It's got some collagen in it, a sprinkle of antioxidants, just health in a can.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
Oh, that was on the Zoas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. But
I always know that when I'm drinking an energy drink that I'm going to get the most effectively dosed drink of all time. You know, everything that's in it is going to be.
Well, remember they got. I mean, Bang got sued for their super creatine.
Oh yeah,
they have super creatine in it, and then they like broke it down, and it was like there was a classic, as a phrase we all used to say back in the day, a pixie dust amount. A pixie dust amount of that.
That and their BCAA aminos.
Oh yeah, tons of BCAAs in there. There's BCAAs in Prime though too. You know, a good amount, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope everybody knows that was just a joke, because that's legitimately what it said on the Bang label was BCAA aminos, and I get it. They're probably trying to market for both, but like. Hopefully everybody knows I'm not an idiot.
Well, I mean,
I do
same
think
as super creatine. You know, because it's not just regular creatine.
Yeah.
What made it super?
I do
Nothing.
Yeah. The small amount.
When I asked you, like, you know, what's changed in the industry, that's one thing that I have seen change in the industry, and it went from low information. So when people would come in the store, they wouldn't know what a BCAA was, to all of a sudden the internet gets really popular and there's a ton of information, back to like low information because there's too much information.
The disinformation.
And it's like the marketing that happens to people now. A lot of people come in the stores now and they're just like, dude.
Well, I give up. You're trying to educate, like, hey, I could get you these EAAs, right? And they're like, no, dude, BCAAs. I want BCAAs.
You're just like
no.
Okay.
EAAs have all the BCAAs in them, plus the others that are essential. Nah, dude, I came in for BCAAs. Yeah. Like, oh, all right. Okay.
Wasn't there there was like an argument at one point, I'm going to totally like skew this, but there was like an argument for like EAAs being bad for you, but BCAAs were fine, like kind of deal. Like there was potentially like mental like health issues associated with EAAs, but like BCAAs were fine. It's like, this doesn't make any sense, like to me.
Right.
The older I've gotten to, the more when a study comes out like that, I'm like, is it replicated somewhere? You know, because it's like now that I've been in the industry for as long as we've all seen the one-off study.
We can cite
There's
the study
a million one-off
cite.
studies where it's just like, okay, you know, I don't know.
We had Mark Lobliner on the podcast.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome having him in here. We had over a 2-hour-long podcast with him. And he could have kept going. He's great, but he had mentioned like a handful of different studies that he had done where it was just like people were trying to talk shit, and he's like, well, here's the study of like how this control group worked better. And it's like, how many of those were replicated? Did you pay for that study? These are all the questions you have to ask. Because it's like, how could anybody think that EAAs would be a worse thing than a BCA?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I could be skewing it. It might have been the inverse, but it was something along those lines. So, man, I bet Mark Lobliner was a lot of fun. Man, dude, veteran in the industry, man. I'm sure it was fun to pick his brain.
Mm-hmm. Especially because of what we've talked about. It's like he didn't try as hard as he could have on the social media side, because he was one of the first, right? He was doing YouTube well before anybody else. And, he was like, man, it's just wild to see what people are doing now with the platforms, but he had just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
We had him and Hani Rambat on in back-to-back days. And,
geez.
Yeah, our batteries were at 0 after that one.
He was
doing so much information that was valuable. You know what I mean?
Kind of like what you do with social media now, the unsuccessful entrepreneur type of content that you put out. Mark Lobliner was doing that type of content way back when, and he was also the first one,
like 2008 for our listeners.
Yeah, and he was also, if you remember, he was like one of the first guys that was talking about steroids and things
publicly, more openly.
Yeah, more openly.
But from a safety perspective, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to kind of listen to him talk about that. And also he's gone into and exited, 3 different companies now.
Mm-hmm. And his daughter started a company. I mean, like he's really well versed.
Yeah. You ever think about like what the end game of what you're doing now is? Like, is your idea to like pass it down to your kids? Is your idea to sell it to somebody that works for you currently? Is your idea to, have you thought about that ever?
A decent amount. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answer is.
You're still like, I'm just trying to build to, yeah.
Very much so.
If I worked for you, what would be the carrot?
If you work for me, I'd say the carrot for most of our employees is we're going to build something fucking cool together. Hope I can cuss.
Yeah,
sorry.
Certainly.
Luke's here. He's just a child.
I'm sorry, Luke. 'Luke. I would say, build something cool first. And I think, if Riley wanted to take over the business, that'd be cool, but by no means do I want to force her into, or any of the kids we might have into a position where they feel like they have to. I want them to do what they enjoy. I feel like there could potentially be an employee that could make sense to potentially sell the business to. I think that someone like that would probably care quite a bit about the business and know quite a bit about the business. But yeah, I think it would be cool to continue to get a little bit more diverse, and even just obviously with Try It and Define Nutrition. I know you guys asked me before the podcast, is there one or the other that, we wish we would have focused on a little bit more off the bat? And my answer is genuinely, I don't think so, because it helps us be a little bit more diverse, dynamic. We can, when we have certain opportunities and have things that start to grow in certain areas, we can really put our foot on the gas in those areas that we're not, hitting plateaus in certain spots and just spinning our wheels trying to grow. And, we can kind of jump around and bounce around a little bit, and everything kind of helps grow itself. So
would this be like, you can use the stores to help kind of, trial and error with the brand as far as what products are going to take off better than others, what formulas are really hitting well before you really try to, press on the gas on the wholesale side?
That honestly has been probably our biggest advantage in the industry, is we get just constant feedback from people in store saying what they like, what they don't like. Hey, this new pre-workout came out, it's got these ingredients to it. This one in particular sounds like people are liking quite a bit. So, hey, maybe that's something we need to include. Or, hey, this protein kind of took this flavor route, and, that didn't seem to do super well. It's a really good idea, but it's not seeming to do super well in our store. So it's like, hey, okay, that's probably not something that we should do because it's not being well received. So
can I have you unpack maybe one of the trials of Define, maybe a protein flavor or a pre-workout flavor that you're like, man, this could be the thing. Like, this could be our what's that, like the candy green apple Alani New drink or whatever it may be, like, that makes everybody be like,
which is brew,
dumbass. My bad. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, it worked so well I couldn't remember the name. But did you have delicious? Did you have a dice roll when it came to the Define side of things that you were like, man, I really was hoping this would take off, and it just was like, no, people didn't like it, or vice versa?
I would say our second version of our pre-workout that's no longer around. We took an approach of because pump products were gaining more and more popularity, more and more attention, and we were also seeing pre-workouts just get more fully loaded, that it was like, okay, well, people are taking this pump product and it's got 6-8 grams of citrulline, and they're also taking a pre-workout that's got 6 to 8 grams of citrulline to it. It's like, well, point of diminishing returns is maybe around 10. Like, you're spending a lot on citrulline, don't necessarily need that. And so we released a pre-workout. This was, I think, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago now, that was beta alanine, and we really went all out on the stimulants and the nootropics. So you guys may appreciate this, but it was 250 milligrams of caffeine, 100 milligrams of teacrine, and 100 milligrams of dynamine. So it was like packed. Like, I would just do half a scoop on that pre-workout. But we didn't include any pump ingredients to it at all. And so that it would be very complementary to all these pump products that were coming out. So it's the one on the left. Yeah. The one on the right is what we have now. And I thought it was perfect because we could keep the price low. The stimulants, like, we put more teacrine and dynamine than any other pre-workout had to it. And those ingredients are hard to flavor. So it was a lot easier to flavor without all the citrulline, the glycerol, the creatine. So we kept it as just that. But I freaking loved it because we also released a pump, shortly after that, because I could pair them. I could, stack them how I want. I could do half scoop of this, full scoop of that, whatever I wanted.
No stim at night.
Yeah. Just do the pump, leave the stim out. It was like, man, this makes so much sense to me, but it didn't seem like it made a whole lot of sense to other people. So that one definitely flopped a quite a bit.
Jeff Wasserman could have hustled that. I'll tell you that right now.
The old Alpha Creed muscle spike combo.
Yeah.
That was the same combination.
Yeah.
But no, dude, I want to talk to you now about Unsuccessful Entrepreneur. It's a hashtag you started years ago. I want to congratulate you and tell you I'm proud of you for just sticking with this for so long as you have. When you throw something out there for the first time, it can be pretty scary, pretty vulnerable. And you put your whole story out there. You've been telling the story along the way, letting people kind of more or less documenting your journey. Let's talk about just where that came from, and then where do you want it to go from here?
Yeah. Man, it really started from listening to other successful people at a time where we really were not successful. I started using that hashtag and making those posts when I wasn't paying myself. I was working 60 to 80 hours in store. A lot of weeks, any weeks I wasn't doing that, I was doing close to 6 to 7 sample events a week. And so I'm listening to these other people that had made it because, I'm trying to learn because like clearly we don't know everything. There's a lot for us to learn. And I kept hearing them talk about the years that they were struggling and, the hardships that they went through to get to where they are now and the things that they learned and they're telling these stories and a lot of them spoke about it almost like kind of pretty fondly. And one person even said, like, even recognized that of like, yeah, those were hard, struggle years, but almost every successful person will reminisce on those years and talk about, when we were working crazy hours and, we're sleeping in the back of the store or not sleeping at all kind of deal. And it was like all these stories I'm hearing, I feel like is what I hope I'm experiencing now. Like, hopefully we make it one day. Hopefully that's what we're going through and we make it out of this. So it was me just kind of wanting to share a little bit more about what we were doing. And it's like, I'll take the angle of, I'm going to share these stories that these successful people share in real time and in hopes that we will become successful, which is where the unsuccessful entrepreneur hashtag came from. There honestly wasn't a whole lot of thought put into it. It was like, there's all these successful entrepreneurs and I'm just one of the unsuccessful ones yet.
It resonates because when you look at social media, why I was saying earlier, like social media at some point is almost becoming unconsumable is because it's like you've almost read every post there is to read on social media. Mm-hmm. But in the world of business,
messages are the same,
in the world of business, what you're always reading are posts from the standpoint of like prescribing something to you, mm-hmm. right? So like when you came along and you were talking about unsuccessful entrepreneur, you were like, this is an experience. I'm not telling you, it's coming from a different angle, mm-hmm. which I think is why it stands out,
More so even, I will have I took one of our guys and I had him go look at your posts. And the reason being is because I saw him posting a lot about what success takes. Mm. And he was consuming a lot of personal growth, content at the time and reading books, which is extremely cool for him. Proud of him for wanting to grow himself. But he was taking those messages and then speaking on them as if he has lived those experiences and speaking about that success as if he's experienced that success himself. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's a difference, man. There's a lot of years of you having to practice these beliefs before you'll actually see the success come. These are successful habits that are built over time.
Right.
And so I was like, here's an example of somebody who's practicing the same things that you're saying, but he's actually outright saying, I'm not there yet, but I think I'm on the way. I think I'm on the journey. Mm-hmm. And, I just think it's awesome. It's a great way to show people like, hey, these are, it's a breath of fresh air, I would say, to have somebody who is in business, who is not saying how awesome and how crazy great things are. Mm-hmm. But recognizing like, this is the price it takes. And as the phrase goes, it takes what it takes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's no definitive. And so everybody comes out of school coming into the job and they're like, how long before I get this? How long before I get that? And it's like, well, this is not a degree. Mm-hmm. It happens whenever it happens.
Right.
You have to keep doing, one foot in front of the other every day.
Right. And, man, I think that's really the approach and honestly might stay the approach forever is just, again, sharing my experiences because I don't know that, I could ever feel confident enough to say like, hey, you need to do this in business to be successful. You need to do that in business to be successful. Cause it's like, I know what worked for us. I know what worked for, some supplement stores and, we're figuring out what's going to work for a supplement brand. And based in Oklahoma City under these circumstances. So it's like, you even take this exact model and put it, one town over. I don't know if it works. So it's very much of like, I don't want to give direct advice because I don't know if it'll work for somebody else. It's just, hey, this is just my experience. And, even if it is genuinely really working for us right now, we might get down a year down the road and I'd be like, that was actually a terrible decision. We should have not done that. And I at least will have the confidence to know that, like, I didn't tell other people to do that.
Sure. Yeah. So now you're moving on to doing more wholesale with Define. And as a guy who owns a supplement store yourself, in a chain, I shouldn't say just one, but when you're talking with these other wholesale stores throughout the country, have you had a spot yet where you've seen how they're doing things and you actually felt inspired? Who is somebody that has done something you're like, man, that's a really great way of doing that?
Yeah. Man, obviously, so I'm actually generally somewhat newer to working directly with all our wholesale accounts, because obviously we had Ian, and just to backtrack on that really quick, still very good friends with Ian because he's got a lot of potential, and he was under some certain circumstances that were very understandable to change up jobs. So
the money was nice at the time.
There were a lot of other factors to that. So I've got nothing but appreciation for him in general, man. Awesome dude. But so with me taking over, I'm starting to build contacts. We just sent out a massive email to all of our accounts, essentially saying, hey, like, I'll be your new point of contact. But with looking at other stores, I do actually follow a lot of other stores on social media, and I do take a lot of ideas and inspiration from other ones. I would say I'll give a shout out. I don't even know if they know who I am or who we are or anything, but XN Subs, I think, does a good job. I'm trying to remember where they're based out of, but I see them on social media. They seem to always be putting out more videos with them in it. It's never just products or, talking about products. It's always more interactive. I feel like I've gotten to know the guys that run XN Subs more than anything.
This is a retail store or a brand?
A retail store.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. That we've taken inspiration from. Follow all the S2 accounts. And
so these guys were just they're building a personal brand basically through their brand, essentially, because you feel like you know them.
Yeah. Like XN Subs, it has a personality to it with the guys that work there. Yeah. So and it resonates with me, and it's like, I think there's a lot of similarities there. They're running a store, we're running stores, and it's
Is it more education or more entertainment in your opinion?
Probably more entertainment. I think we try and throw a little bit more education into ours. But I think just the videos, the interactive videos, and getting to know kind of who they are a little bit more is something that I've taken inspiration from. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Value in retail, it comes from trust, in my opinion, and you have to trust who you're buying from. And so to put your face out there over time, people are going to get to know you more, and your recommendations are going to be more trustworthy.
Right.
If you're going to let everybody know that I'm going to continue to be this person that's the face of the brand over and over and over again, I at least have a little bit of confidence. If I don't like what I'm trying, I can come talk to you about it.
Right.
I think that's cool.
I know on some of my personal posts too, I think I was taking the easy route when I would try and come up with like a picture or video or something of doing something of like, oh, I'll show, this, product or this, just show the front of the store. And those weren't getting a lot of attention. I found that if I was in the pictures or the videos, that those posts were getting a lot more attention. So I just made up a hard rule for myself of like, I always have to be in the picture. And I remember when I first started doing that, I was telling a story as kind of to set an example for something that we learned of in our first store and our second store. Actually, we built some partition walls ourselves. So one big one kind of like right in the middle, and how we had to YouTube. Oh, that's us taking down one of the walls.
Hashtag Vincent.
Yeah.
Look at this, dude. Men at work. I like it. Oh, sorry.
But so it was a different one than that, but it was essentially how like we were able to learn just about anything from Google and YouTube. Like we learned legitimately how to like frame, structure, drywall, mud, and paint an entire wall. And it's luckily it's still standing today. And for the picture, I just stood by the wall and like held the wall and just like this goofy pose of like, okay, I have to be in everything. So just building a little bit more, hopefully, recognition with who I am. So
I think that's solid, man. Yeah. I'm psyched for you. Yeah.
It is a hard thing to get over though, when you know, for our guys, you know, we talk to them about, hey, talking into the camera, you know, and
building your personal brand.
A lot of them, you know, just like you were talking about with business, it's like they go through, you know, the period of, you imposter syndrome. And so you kind of have to get over that though, you know.
It's like, hey, at what point, like, do you feel like you can help? Like, it's a really fun one. Like, hey, do you feel like you can help anybody that walks in the door right now if they have a problem? Okay, then why can't you say that on a camera?
Yeah.
And it's like,
they're worried about their friends and family being like, you weren't always that guy.
They remember themselves as being the newbie in the gym again immediately, and they're like, oh, the people that they know me that I used to not be that, you know. And it's like, dude, at what point in your life are you going to be like, that's okay?
Yeah. It's so funny. As soon as you bring a camera lens out, it's like people just freeze up. Yeah. And I use the exact same example anytime like other people are shooting videos to like kind of help them get into the right mindset of like, hey, just think about it like you're talking to a customer, like, because it's this especially after, you know, they mess up and they restart and they mess up and they restart. After about the third time, I'm usually like, hey, like if you're having an interaction with a customer and you stumble over your words, do you tell them to go outside and come back in so you can restart? It's like, no, you just push past it and you finish it up, and then, you know, you clean it up for the next customer. So
great advice.
What do you think about technology in general and where it's going, and how do you think it's going to, you know?
Are you talking about just like AI specifically?
Yeah, AI, technology in general.
I wish I knew more about AI, because I feel like a lot of people they're figuring out how to use it to their advantage. And I've got no idea. We use it. I know our media guy uses it for captions sometimes. I can tell when they sound super clean. I was like, no way Ryan wrote this.
Right. We heard a full best man speech the other day at a wedding off of AI.
Was it good?
It was good sounding, like we were talking about as far as clean goes, right? But
yeah.
you miss the heart every time.
Yeah.
There's nothing personal.
You know, there's prompts to fix that now, right?
Yeah, I'm with you for sure.
But I'm saying you can load your own, like you can write captions, load it into ChatGPT.
Before my wedding, dude, I asked ChatGPT who Jeff Wasserman was, and they knew exactly who I was.
Really?
And they knew when me and Hannah were getting married, and they knew what our business is built on and so forth. It was incredible, actually.
So,
and I just asked them, you know what I mean? Just ask ChatGPT, you know, who is Jeff Wasserman, blah, 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 blah. But they can comb your social media accounts. And so because of our captions and because of things we've posted, it knew how to take that data and then put it in a conversational answer.
That's wild.
And I didn't do any insertion of, input, which was just.
Didn't send any links or. Nothing.
Yeah. It was just asking ChatGPT.
That's wild.
I had to say like Jeff Wasserman from Kansas City, Missouri.
Sure.
That was it.
Yeah. There's probably a couple other Jeff Wassermans out there.
A handful. Yeah.
Are you guys using AI for anything in particular in business?
Nah.
I mean, literally, we're in the same spot as you. It's like,
yeah.
The fear of the unknown, right? Like the ignorance to it makes you wonder, you know, how is that going to affect our market that we're in? Mm-hmm. But I think that, you know, we're trying to use it to our advantage in the sense of being real, being mm-hmm. a human, being somebody that, you know, you might be, you know, being thrust into having more and more AI in your face and so forth. And it's like when you want to come in and feel like you're having an authentic interaction, you can come talk to us.
Yeah. I think that people are going to start to crave that more and more because there's less and less of it in mm-hmm. other areas of life. So
agreed.
Yeah.
So we were talking about earlier with service. It's like
self-checkout, you know, culture is real.
Yeah. Question for you guys, because obviously, you know, we both learned a lot of, you know, working at the Springfield S2s and mm-hmm. St. Louis for UConn. You did both. I know this is an answer I've actually gotten to kind of share this with Andy at one point, but What was there much that you had to learn after you guys were opening up your own stores, or do you feel like you learned the playbook pretty well from being?
I got an answer if you want. I mean, you want me to go? Or I can
Go ahead.
All right. Just like when your parents, when you're growing up and they tell you something and they'll be like, you'll learn one day. Like you'll find that out when you grow up, you know? The amount of stuff that Andy had told us that we wanted to scoff at, you know, and say in your head, like, you know, at times when a store wasn't doing well and you were managing it and he's telling you that it's your fault, the ego in you, the pride in you is telling you, well, you know, that manager that you're praising, you know, they have this advantage or that advantage, and I don't have those advantages and this and that. And after of us, you know, running a store for 6 months where it was just legitimately just the two of us and we're in a market where not a lot of people know who we are and so forth, we were like, wow, everything comes down to who is running the store. Everything. And it was like, the manager is the store, you know? And so we were just like, man, it all comes down to who's leading. For us, at least, that's what, you know, what came to mind. And it was just all these conversations of Andy telling us things. And it was like, the thing that I would say that really stuck out was that I didn't learn anything new. It was that, like, it just confirmed a lot of things that I used to doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I think the thing that stands out to me was just how ignorant I was to overhead, and how it took me probably a solid 2 to 3 years to understand cash flow and manage cash correctly. And, you know, it was just one of those things where it's like, you almost have to do it to understand it. And I'm in a business group now with people that are in a lot of different businesses. And some of these guys are in very complex businesses. And all I think about now when I'm talking to them, I'm like, how on earth do you wrap your head around the cash flow situation? You have to have really good financial people working for you.
Yeah.
But
and the amount of money just to operate the business, right?
But, you know, yeah, especially when you have, like, you know,
people don't understand that, like, $100,000 is like, you don't get to touch it ever if you have $100,000 because it's constantly in flow, you know?
But, you know, that I would say that was like the thing for me, like all of the customer interaction things, all of that was basically what I expected it to be. The grind to get people in turn 1 into 2 was basically exactly what I expected it to be. You know, building a culture here was exactly what I expected it to be. I expected it all to be hard, you know, and it basically was. And so that wasn't surprising to me. The surprising thing to me was, like, you would feel like, oh man, got some cash coming in. And then you'd get whacked over the head with, you know, some random bill. And it would feel like in the beginning, like, oh, that money's being, like, stolen from us. You know what the hardest thing in the beginning was, and this
taxes.
Is no, taxes. It took me a while to taxes. Like, fully wrap my head around taxes. Yeah. But in the beginning, just our franchising fees, I was just like, oh, that's all of our money that we made this past week. Yeah. You know? And, you know, it was one of those things where it's just like, you have to, over time,
same pride and ego thing. It's like, we were around for the writing of this playbook, right? Like, why are we paying for this? And, you know, now we totally get why it's so important. But at the time when you don't have any money,
it was just, you know how it is. Every expense just is like hitting you over the head. You know, I mean, you start looking at, like,
scrutinizing your utility bill, scrutinizing, you know, like, turn those lights off back there. You know what I mean? Just all of it, man.
And that was, you know, it took a while to get over that and to understand that. That would probably be my number one thing. What about you?
Getting people in the door. Yeah. so much tougher than we realized. You know, I think it's definitely, it was a good experience, and I wish a lot of our guys could experience, you know, some of the beginning as well. Is you know, we were working at Springfield North store, the store that had been around for 15 years at the time. Must have been like 25 years now.
25 now, yeah.
That's wild. So, you know, we were taking a store that, you know, was doing, you know, seeing upwards of 80 or 90 transactions a day, and seeing days where we saw 100 transactions. And it was like, okay, cool. We know how to grow a store. We know how to get out and be part of the community, and how to sample and treat people well and get them to come in, get them to tell their friends. But turning 0 into 10 transactions was a lot harder.
We tried to explain this to our team. It's like, guys, going from, like, you don't know this until you go to a new market where no one knows you, but it's amazing how easy it is to take 60 to turn them into 100 because you had 60. You get, going from 10 to 20.
You can screw it up with some of those people and be okay.
Right.
You can't screw it up if you have 5 people shopping with you and that you need 10 people shopping with you.
Right. Exactly.
The doubling of the business takes time because, as you know, the industry is also very much seasonal in the sense of like the people that are finding themselves in fitness and finding some different value in themselves through fitness is it's like on rotation. They find it and then they're there for a couple of years. And then they're like, I don't want to pursue any further. I'm just going to chill right here. And a lot of them are starting with us, and then they find wherever they want to be, and they hang out there for a long time. And then you always get that new rotation of people that are just starting back again or starting. And you hope that over time, right, the people that took some time off from the gym or took the time off from fitness, maybe they had something happen in their lives, and they want to get back to it, right? And so we have the customer that comes in, they're like, I'm just getting back in the swing of things. I'm getting back to it. But you want to get them coming back to it, along with the friends that they told back in the day how great we were coming at the same time. And so it's telling everybody it's just continuously delayed gratification over and over and over again. If you treat people right, they're going to come back.
Right.
And them trusting that.
Yeah. I love how you say get back to it as well, because I've generally kind of come up with a theory. I think we all know, once we hit January 1st, the new year, and going into spring, like the fitness industry is just busier. Gyms are, they've got more people. Supplement stores are seeing more people coming in the doors, and it's just funny. I feel like everybody contributes that to, it's a New Year's resolution crowd when you hit January 1st. I don't feel like I've heard a lot of people. I don't know if I've ever had somebody come in and say, I'm on my New Year's resolution. I'm going to get healthy this year. It's I feel like more of, you just took a little time off, just getting back to it is what they always say. And my theory is that, when we hit, fall and heading into the holidays, that it's just a higher percentage of people that are, taking even just a couple of weeks off, couple of months off, and that everybody gets back to it at the same time, January 1st, that it's not a new thing for them. It's just, we're all hitting the gym. Nobody's skipping the gym when we hit January 1st.
Very good point.
Yeah, dude, I work out all year long, every week, but as soon as the holidays are over, I feel disgusting with myself. I'm like, I need to, because it's like, no matter what, you can go into Christmas and be like, I'm going to do pretty good.
Yeah.
And I, for the most part, do pretty good, but you're still going to eat cookies. You're still going to drink beers or whatever. You're still going to, you know what I'm saying? It is hard to complete.
The treat to hard work ratio is just not there.
You're not going to completely eliminate that stuff. And so even if you're working out through that time, it is kind of like a mental reset, because January and February suck. They're the worst months of the entire year, And so it's a good time of year to be like, all right, now I'm done with that crap and I can just like focus on getting my life back together.
Snow post-Christmas is a waste of snow.
It is. Yeah. But now I have kids. Snow's fun all the time.
Oh, good point. But you also got now we don't get school off, because you're an adult. You're like, now I can't even get like snow day. It's just like, what a waste.
Yeah.
Or snow that you can't sled on for the kids, right? Now it's just like really
snow, non-sleddable snow. Actually, the worst when you have kids is when it dust snows and you have to tell them like, this is bullshit, you guys. You're not going to get any fun out of this.
Giant tease.
And they're like, no, get me in 10 layers of clothes and take me outside so I can see for myself.
Yeah.
And so I do, and they go outside, and they're like,
"This is exactly how his kids talk to."
This is bullshit, Dad. And I said, "I told you guys."
I said,
and now
the snow's so powdery, I can't even put it into a snowball. Such bullshit.
I'm like, yeah.
Welcome.
It still makes yellow snow though, which is
always fun.
How about for the stores for you guys? Is there what's the call on closing down the stores for snow days?
Snow excuses.
Snow excuses.
We don't close very often.
What's laughable over here, Luke?
That's good.
It's. I didn't make it up. I can assure you. That's been a long.
Luke, how many times did we close the store because of weather last year? I don't think we did.
We've done it. We've done, especially
we do late open sometimes.
Dude, the hardest,
if it's really bad.
The hardest for sure is like when it happens during store hours, right? Where it starts really coming down. And what we typically do is between me, Kyle, and our district managers, we all drive trucks with 4-wheel drive, and so we'll hit up everybody just saying like, hey, if you would all feel nervous whatsoever transporting yourself to the store, we'll happily come pick you up. We'll happily take you. If you have any kind of nerves to it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I love that. I actually did that at one point myself. Snow days have turned into such a stressor for me because like when you're a kid, you get excited, school's out, and you're good to go sled and throw snowballs and whatnot. And it's like turned into such a stressor for me because it's like, I got to make a call. Do we need to be open? Do I need to drive people to the stores? Because
I want the business to stay open, but I want to be sensitive to the team. Like, I don't want them to feel like it's just like money over everything. And it's like, that's not the case.
Right.
We also have to condition our customers to let them know we can be there for them no matter what.
Yeah.
It's more about the customer than it is about anybody else. They have
I
to be
would
able to
also
rely on
say
us.
that our culture of managers too is everybody wants to be open. You know what I'm saying? They want the ability to help people that are looking for help on that day, no matter what the weather's like. And so,
every time there's someone there to open, dude.
Yeah.
It's so funny about it is like,
it
it's
is
like,
kind of weird how that works.
it's like someone has a point of pride and they made the post.
Somebody's
that
like,
was
I'm going to see, see if they're for real about this.
Working hard while the enemy sleeps, taking a day off. There's that guy, there at open, like, made it to the gym already. What are you all doing?
Dude, we have some of our busier days on snow days too because everybody's off work and especially if it didn't snow too bad, it's like I'm gonna get out and run my errands now. So it's like, okay, thank goodness we were open.
This is another thing. Our snow days, I feel like when we were kids, you had to have a substantial amount of snow. Now, I feel like they call snow days on like 3 inches. I'm like, guys.
Oh, bro, less than that.
I'm like, yeah.
3 inches sounds plenty to me.
Yeah.
So, I'm just kidding.
3 inches is fine. By the way, it is fine.
I think
you got clear out of 3 inches.
Chill. It works. It does the job.
When I know I got one snow day when I was a kid that they were calling for this just massive blizzard, like just so like it was supposed to dump snow.
Snowpocalypse.
Yeah, and so they canceled prematurely the night before, for buses and whatnot. But and then the next day, not a snowflake.
Nothing.
So
those are always the best.
Yeah.
As far as if you got the day off on that one.
I don't know. I like the snow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer a snow vacation over a beach vacation personally.
Okay.
So
are you a skier or a snowboarder?
I actually learned how to snowboard for the first time last year. Loved it and excited to do more. We're going to Tahoe for our honeymoon so I can get some cold weather before we head to Bora Bora.
Yeah.
And it's because I like the mountains.
Dude, it's addicting, man.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. But going back to the, making sure the stores are open, it's funny. I feel like it's tough to sometimes have conversations. And I think we're very lucky in your guys' senses too of having employees that are like, we'll get it done. We'll do what we need to. We got to keep the stores open. We got to help the people out. And I'm in the mindset of, hey, we got to pay you guys a payroll. We got to pay this. We got to pay rent. It's like, if we're closed for a single day, that's a lot of money lost.
Yeah, the rent is the same, guys.
Yeah, we don't get a docked day because it snowed. So, I've done the exact same thing.
I feel more passionately about like certain holidays. We started doing July 4th off.
Yeah, we used to only be closed on Thanksgiving Day, Easter Sunday, and then Christmas Day.
Yeah,
and we started doing July,
4th of July
or 4th of July, and I feel like I would rather give my dudes off, a holiday like that than a day that they're like, I would rather work today. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're like, if most of the managers are kind of like how I was as a manager, most snow days I was like, what am I? I mean, I'm 23. I'm not going to go do anything in the snow. I'm going to go to the gym anyways. I would rather go work, today. I would rather kind of focus that on a holiday off or, something like that.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like an investment though, of giving them 4th of July off where, might miss out on some sales on 4th of July, probably not quite a normal day, but I think the team probably appreciates it a lot. Having that day off.
That's the big one. And we talk about some of our most those delayed gratification days that we talk about, where it's really tough to see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And working on 4th of July was definitely one of those days.
Nice
for us. We talk about that. It's like, man, there was you're watching everybody just like party on the lake on boats, and you're like,
yeah.
Sitting in your retail store looking out the window like, man, that'd have been nice.
Yeah.
And so we take a lot of pride in being able to give them that day off and enjoy themselves all the way.
I did have 2 employees. This was a few years ago when 4th of July fell on a Saturday. I was like, we're going to close. That's it. Like, I don't know if we're going to even see a whole lot of people that day. Like, you guys want to go have fun. And I had 2 employees that are like, hey, we think we'll have some customers that day. Do you mind if we go in and open the store? And I was like, no. if you want to, if that's what you want to do, like, we'll just do. They're like, what do you think about us just doing like a half day? I was like, I mean, I'm game for it, man. If you guys want to.
Like, dang, that 3-hour conversation with Alyssa the night before was for nothing.
Yeah. All the debate. Man.
Should we not? And they're like, dude, can we just work? And you're like, I told you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's, again, going back to the snow days, man, that's always such the debate of like, man, I don't want to put people in a bad situation, but I also want to be able to afford their payroll. So
what's, just switch gears for a sec. Let's talk about just you working in the store, or I'm sorry, like your team right now. What is the brands that you're hearing about the most right now that are getting traction? That, maybe would just be more of an internet brand in the past. Maybe they're getting more traction now than you've heard.
Like in store?
Yep.
I would say the biggest one that we kind of talked about recently was Farrell from the Trend Twins has gotten a lot of attention. We were getting apparently like multiple people every day at every store asking for that brand. And that's where we started looking into it of like, even if we have to bring it in as a loss leader and, not make any money, just have it available so people know they can get it here. Bring in, just minimal inventory kind of deal. But actually ended up being like just simply product wise was pretty good. So we've actually kind of leaned into that one a little bit more than we would have anticipated. But yeah, that's been the big one recently. So
other brands come to mind at all?
Man, I'm honestly somewhat removed from the stores now. So I would say I really don't know if I could tell you outside of that.
Are you, because you have locations, you have one that's in Norman, then you got 2 in Oklahoma City. Do you notice a difference in what brands move between those 2 markets?
Yes. Norman definitely moves more to the younger crowd. That's for sure. Like we sell
Springfield North, basically.
Yeah. We sell more Farrell at the Norman location. And
for our listeners, Norman is the home of Oklahoma University.
Correct.
A lot of young college kids who are shopping at that store.
Right. Norman, it was cool when we first started opening up in Norman. It's a lot bigger city beyond the college campus. Obviously we get a lot of college kids there. But it's been cool to get immersed with the people that actually are permanent residents of Norman. But yeah, and then up in Quail Springs, that's more of the young parent type of demographic, as we're selling a lot more first form there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that I notice, from a purchasing standpoint, is just how different markets, what we could be selling. And I'm like, hey, we need to increase our purchasing on this brand. And then St. Louis basically not selling any of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? It's kind of weird how the different brands demand is so different regionally.
So that was actually a big thing when we opened up in Oklahoma City, is we brought in, we brought in the brands that we really wanted to lean on and, had really good quality, but then we also tried to bring in the popular brands, stuff that we thought, hey, you just got to have kind of deal. And though there was a lot of them that ended up being not popular at all. Like I think it was,
Gold Standard.
Gold Standard was one big. I think they were falling off a little bit at that point in time in general. Dymatize Elite, that was actually a really big one, because I remember having a full pyramid of Dymatize Elite
selling 20, 30 a week.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so we did a pyramid at our first location in Oklahoma City and sold almost none of it. It was crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
That is wild, man. How much that can be so, secular to the market you're in. As far as Oklahoma City
was
goes,
that after Dimetized, if you remember,
Post.
sold and then reformulated, and then it tasted like butt. We had a bunch of customers coming back in like,
if you guys are familiar, our listeners, Post Nutrition, it was the stock traded name, but that is like cereal brand Post. So like Raisin Bran, they bought Dimetize and as a tax saving move is what Chris Klein told us. And they were like,
it's just a fraction on their balance sheet.
right, which is wild. Just bought a whole,
just nothing.
a national supplement brand.
We sell 20 times more money in Lucky Charms
and
over
raisins.
here.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Honey Bunches of Oats.
Ooh, it's a good one.
It's a good one. I think that's
only
General
beat
Mills.
by Cinnamon Life.
Cinnamon Life.
Cinnamon Life.
It's good.
All right.
Luke knows.
Cinnamon Life over
like me
Cinnamon
some
Toast
Life.
Crunch over CT Crunch.
Yeah.
No. CT Crunch over
See,
Cinnamon Life.
I'm not trying to cut up my gums. I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but
talking about cereal. All right.
I like me some live cereal. I think I'd do that over Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
You guys have 3 now. Are you guys in expansion plans for the future on the Triad side?
We are. Can't disclose too much because then expectations kind of
Understandable.
Yeah. You start telling customers, oh, we're working on a location here, and then they come in next week and they're like, is that one open yet?
Oh, good question. Then would be how many stores do you think the Oklahoma City market can support?
Yeah. I've mapped it out a handful of different times, 7 to 8. So
Very cool.
but yeah, we are, as far as new locations, maybe we'll disclose maybe a little bit more than I should, but we are, working on, we've got funding and are working on finalizing the lease for another location. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Exciting
congrats,
times, man.
thank you. Appreciate that.
And to the team, because you guys have you have a team now built out to where it can support that.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part of having the team first.
Right. And, it'll be more manageable with like Thomas in his spot. We've got another guy that moved over to almost full-time Define Nutrition now to help out with just the manufacturing side of things. So it makes it a lot more possible to be able to take on another project like that, where when we're opening up the first one and we don't have to run anything else, it's a lot easier to just be there all the time, just doing build out and setting everything up. So
we talked a little bit about Inspired as far as like different supplement stores and the stores that you've talked to on the wholesale side that they've brought you some inspiration. What brands do you look to for inspiration, especially with the way that you guys are building it?
Yeah. First Form's definitely a big one. It's the culture and the loyalty that they've built is definitely admirable. I think especially because I got to be part of First Form in a small way at Supplement Superstores. I think having a little bit more of an understanding is definitely one that we always keep our eye on and look to for inspiration. Core Nutritionals definitely is a big inspiration to us as well. It's a lot of the brands that we personally work with quite a bit in our stores. Yeah, I would say those are 2 big ones. I know that our media guy is, especially before he started working at the stores, was a big fan of Ghost. And so that's a big inspiration for him. And it's cool to see the things that he implements that Ghost does and shows a little bit more behind the scenes and a little bit more of the lifestyle overall. So, that and even outside of the supplement industry a little bit, but all the stuff that Christian Guzman's doing with Alpha Lead and Alpha Land and 3Ds. And I know he takes a lot of inspiration from him as well. So yeah,
those are great.
Yeah.
Those are great. People to compare yourself to for sure.
Well, they're doing well. So,
yeah. And I think that the thing I want to touch on with that is that those brands that you mentioned, they do a lot of things that I would say don't have proof of concept. They're innovative. Alpha Land, there's no other gym like it. It's one of one, and it was wildly expensive. And so I just I got to give so much props to people who are visionaries like that, who don't have we've seen this already work, because the supplement industry is such a copycat industry. There's very few that are trying hard to be the first. And I'll never forget having conversations with our former purchaser, for supplement superstores. He would go to the Olympia, he would go to the Arnold, have all those infamous meetings with the big brands. And he came back and told me about his brand meeting they had with Dymatize. And since we already talked about them selling, this was them before they sold. And he said that they told him, like, we're done being the first. Like, we're done trying. They were the first to do protein cereal. They did elite protein cereal that came in pouches. Like, imagine just walking around with a little bag.
Shout out Ghost, because their protein cereal is pretty good.
It's really good. Yeah. I mean, it's come a long way. And the truth is, they had like 4 different flavors of protein cereal when they did it, and it was really good. But it came in a box that was not a. It looked like a meal replacement meals box, right? Like there it is. So there's the elite high protein cereal.
Oh, I think there's some expired.
I was so excited about it when it came out because I was like, man, this is food that I would actually eat. And so they were one of the very first like functional foods.
Yeah.
And it just didn't do well. MHP, remember MHP? I mean, they're still doing it. I have no idea, but their pudding. They did protein pudding that was like 25 gram chocolate pudding.
I ate a lot of those.
But it came in like
my little fat 22-year-old.
Bro, but it came in like, again, it's all just like, I think, familiarity. Look at that can. It came in like the canned chicken can or like the Armor, sausages can. And so like you had to pop the top
smother that
of it.
on a Trioplex.
Talking Trioplex cookies.
There you go. Chef Jay, dude. The best chef there ever was. But yeah, 30 grams of protein. And dude, it tasted awesome.
Yeah.
But it was just a situation.
A little chalky.
But you couldn't get it in you just wouldn't see it like that. You're not buying that at Whole Foods.
Right.
And so it's, it's such a specialty item.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see like what people are coming up with now. And when Ghost makes cereal, where you find it? In the cereal aisle at the grocery store. And so it's in your consumer behavior already. You don't have to think twice.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the unlock, because I think you put that pudding with a more approachable label and a more approachable package and a more approachable store. And it does extremely well because it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is getting on those shelves at a grocery store is not an easy feat.
How did Ghost do it, you think? Honestly, just buy distributorship rights or something, or sell distributorship rights?
I mean, is Ghost still owned by the guys in Chicago, or have they sold?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's like
my guess would have been that they sold, and whoever they sold to had the power to get into Walmart.
Yeah.
They also might have did a deal with them where they started selling their actual supplements at Walmart, and they said, "Hey, by the way."
Well stated, yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Foot in the door kind of deal. Yeah.
We have these drinks that everybody knows. Let's if you want our drinks, then you have to buy our this.
Right. That's a
smart deal.
That's honestly, that's. You think about the cereal too, and it's like, man, I don't like if we put Ghost cereal in our stores, like we might sell a little bit of it, but the placement of it is everything. Being with the other cereal is the most important part.
Yeah,
which
you're
is
looking at
crazy
healthy
because
cereal and you're like, well, this one.
Yeah.
Snackable things do really well in our store.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, where is that line? I guess cereal's not snackable. It's an actual like meal.
Being able to buy an individual, I think, is also helpful with the in-store experience. I think when you're trying to buy bars and so forth online, you can't buy individual or single serving. And so it's nice to be able to build a box. Yeah. With 6 or, whatever variety you want.
Right.
In the store.
It's honestly something that I remember hearing from Andy at one point talking about, placement of their stores. This is a really funny situation. I went back for Fall Fest in, I think it was 2020. And I was with the retailer group, other guys that were selling First Form, and we got to sit in and kind of have a powwow and talking about just different things associated with retail, and we started talking about placements of stores, and I think Andy got on this rant about hey, everybody thinks that you need to put your supplement stores right next door to a gym, and it's like, no, you need to be closer to where people are grocery shopping and just generally doing their shopping, because you're closer to the people that are buying their supplements, but they're not in the right mindset to be buying at that point in time when they're at the gym. That you need to be closer to the places that they're grocery shopping, because they are in the mindset there. It was really funny because he was going on this rant, and the guy that was sitting next to
he just signed a lease for across the street from a gym.
He's like, my supplement store is in a gym.
He's like, dude, we just signed a badass lease right across the street from the Lifetime.
Finish the story. What did he say?
Sorry.
He was like, man, he's like, this is making me feel really bad about going into that store that's right next to LA Fitness. He like whispered to me as like Andy's yelling at everybody.
You know, to reinforce that fact, I ran our Brentwood store in St. Louis, probably the most successful store in St. Louis. I fired the entire staff that I went up there and started managing, except for one guy, John Quintal.
Give him some love, put him up.
Brian Teach saved my life because he came over. He drove every day over to my store and helped me. Called him the White Monster because he'd come in with a White Monster every day. And he was like, I've never worked retail, so you'll have to kind of tell me, you know, how we do this. And, you know, he was just the most blunt person of all time with people. And I'd just be like, all right, Brian, I'm gonna calm it down a little bit. You gotta like ease into things with people, because he would just be like so blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect.
He's a man of few words. That's for sure.
But you also never felt like he was trying to like swindle you in any way.
No,
he was just
true.
being like,
He's like, I've literally been doing this my entire life. Please don't make me waste my time talking about stuff that doesn't matter. This is what you need.
he was more, at the time,
I coach 100 people.
Yeah,
on
at the
this,
time
literally right
he was
now.
more,
Yeah.
he was very plugged into bodybuilding diets. And I'd have to be like, hey man, you know, people are paying for those, and you have a different level of commitment out of those people. But the people that are coming in here, a lot of times you are having to be their spark. You're having to be the motivation behind it. And so
They're
remember
just
that
they're just tracking for the first time in their lives.
They're, you know, I was like, you know, the information you're giving them is probably less important than the motivation that you're giving them, because you just need to give them a spark to want to like actually follow through on what you're telling them.
Adhering to the plan above all else.
I remember,
But great guy,
Yeah.
saved my ass. Wouldn't have been able to. I don't know what the hell I'd have done. Him
I
and
mean, he's been
him and
instrumental in
Braden
so many
Posey.
people's success, man. Huge shout out to Brian Teach.
Him and Braden
Amazing guy.
Posey, both of them.
And
saved
have
me.
you ever seen a more happy Brian Teach in your life than you see right now?
I don't think so.
Happiest I've ever seen him. Dude.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, he's it's been really cool actually. I didn't know Teach when I was at S2, but have gotten to work with him a lot more since we opened up our stores at Triad, and is since he's our wholesale rep, is he comes out to our annual event typically. He's got another good buddy of ours it's a mutual friend, Sean Vasquez, that he stays with him when he comes into town.
Pride Nutrition?
Pride Foods.
Pride Foods, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah. He lives like a mile away from where Alyssa and I live. So, but yeah, we've gotten to know Teach a lot more since moving away, which is kind of funny, but yeah, super cool guy. So I actually have a question for you guys, because you talk about, you know, you guys, you know, taking 100 transactions every single day, and, you know, being the only ones in the stores.
I wish we were taking 100 transactions. It was at the beginning. We were not quite 100 transactions.
Yeah.
Certainly not. We were taking hundreds over time.
Hundreds over time. You know, with you guys, how many locations do you guys have now?
9.
8 here, and then the one in Owasso. And obviously, between the two of you, you can't work all the hours at all those stores. Are you guys, I assume, aren't working any hours in store anymore?
That was that we stopped that at 4, I believe, was our number.
And so what's the day-to-day look like for you guys?
Man.
Well, today, I don't even want to say what I did today. A lot of times, the most boring stuff of all time. You know? I try and tell our guys this. I'm like, dude, what I do on a day-to-day basis, I had to send over a couple of powers of attorney to our accountant today. I had to, you know, deal with some unemployment stuff today.
I had to get Kyle's signature on a line of credit.
But it's a lot
to a broker
of
on a new store.
As you, I mean, you know this, as you accumulate stores and businesses, your accumulation of just, for lack of a better term, just bullshit that comes along with that.
Fires to put out.
Yeah, piles up. But, you know, for us, the thing, you know, the structure of our company now is we have Freddie, who's basically runs our company. And then underneath him, we have 2 new DMs. So we have Nick and Trev, and those are split up. We split the stores between those guys, and those guys are managing directly. Their managers underneath them.
Spending a lot of time in the store.
So we spend, you know, when it comes to like actually managing people, you know, Tuesdays we have meetings. We have meetings with Freddie, who runs everything, and then we have meetings with Tori, who's our events coordinator, and she does like all of our
all community relations management.
any community type things. And so most of the managing that we're doing now is to that upper group of people, outside of the monthly meetings that we do, and our Monday morning meetings that we still do. And so
we set aside Thursdays.
Those are actually the funnest thing about what we do now, because all the other stuff sucks.
Yeah. Well, I want to shout out our own podcast here, because Protein Bros was born out of us feeling disconnected from the people that we feel like really truly got us here, which is just our community. The trainers, the gym owners, the people, that have put in the time and energy to be able to be successful on a local business level with fitness. How do we, champion that? How do we give them some kind of a platform? And so, while also getting to hang out with our friends, because we don't get to see them in the store like we used to. And I can only speak for myself here, but there was definitely a time of, the last time you and I visited, I might have been telling this to you then, but it was like, you don't prepare, you don't know what life's going to be like. I was legitimately getting so much of my own cup filled every day by the customers that came in. And to go from seeing 20 people that you know by name, and they know you by name, and you guys are catching up, and you get to see so many of your friends every day. And then all of a sudden I saw none of them, and so like, it was a weird time, and I wasn't happy, and I was, looking around for what to do, because it just wasn't getting that same fulfillment factor and that purpose factor that you get out of the job when you work the counter. And we always tell our staff, like, hey, working the counter is the most fun you can have. You guys don't understand. It's like, you're not doing it for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about the money. The money is nice when you get there or whatever that is, but it's really about that connection and that purpose and feeling fulfillment from what you do on a daily basis. And so now we're finding delayed gratification in the same, right? It's still delayed gratification, but it's coming in, seeing your team blossom into the strong men and women that they're becoming. And it's really, really rewarding to watch your team truly buy into themselves, which is such a cool thing to see that happen, where that you can see the turn on, like the belief in themselves really turn on. And that's where I feel like the gratification comes from most.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that you have employees that get a little too excited for the next position, or potentially even moving out of the store into something new?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we actually just had a meeting about this where it's hard to explain it, because in business or any job, you basically go through these phases. The newbie phase, where you're basically like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just like, this is my job. I don't know what I'm doing. And then you start kind of turning the corner where you're like, oh, I'm kind of understanding how this goes. And then right after that, you go into I know this job. I know exactly what I'm doing.
All the newbie gains are gone.
I know exactly what I'm doing. But then you hit this phase where this stretch where it's a grind, and there's like, all you're doing is the same thing over and over and over and over. And you're just stacking hours, and you're just stacking days, and you're just stacking years. And during that time, you're building like this
mental calluses.
Mental calluses, to where it's like, I've seen every situation that can happen. I've seen every leadership, situation that can happen. I've basically I've mastered what I'm doing. Right. And until you get through that point, which everyone quits in that point, that is the point where everyone quits. That's the point where I quit. We talked about that on the podcast with Andy. It's like, I quit, and I got a different job, and he was like, nope, you're not going to do that. You're just going to have to shut up and stick it out. But I quit during that point, because I was like, burning the rope on both ends. But, it's those points to mastery where you have to get to, if you're actually going to become like a Jedi at anything. And
we try to explain this to them. And I'm sorry, you can finish your point. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying that, like, most people are excited about what we do until they get to that point where they're like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. And then you're like, yeah, you're just going to have to do it for longer.
Yeah.
It's mastering how to teach others how to do it. It's the mastering how to teach others how to do it, because once somebody else's performance becomes your responsibility, that's where it's like, the selfish nature of every person, of every human comes into play. And this is my own personal beliefs on this, but that selfish nature takes hold. And, you worked for me in a time where I was in that selfish nature chokehold of like, it should be beneficial to me. I've been doing this the longest. My staff is, brand new. They should, of course, just be listening to me and following my every move. And and it should just work out. But instead you find that they don't see the potential in themselves. Maybe they don't see the potential in the company. You're having to babysit in ways that you didn't think you should have to. And it's not your business, in quotes. And because it's not your business, why am I sticking my neck out? Why am I taking my weekends? Why am I working these late nights for somebody else? I'm going to do this. I should just do this for myself.
Right.
They don't realize that, like, if you're doing that for yourself, you wouldn't have a paycheck, and you're getting paid to learn these lessons. And so, we really we like to preach the form of successor, because it's like you're getting paid to go to school right now, basically figuring out how to do all these things. And it would be way nicer to learn how to do all these things with a paycheck than not having one.
Right.
And so the last thing I'll say on this is, we had somebody who was really great with people, really great people person, can build relationships well in the store. And they came to us and they're like, man, and they said all these same things we were just discussing. It's like, I've gotten through this phase that was really difficult. They're feeling really good about where they're at, but now they're responsible for other people's performance, and that's just not cool. This isn't as fun. And we're like, yeah, I get it. Hey, man, we totally get it. They could go make, let's say you go leave and you go make a much higher commission in a commission sales job or something, right? Because now you got these really great people skills. You know how to talk about product knowledge, so on and so forth. You could go make a ton of money in direct sales, and here's what happens. You're going to get really good at that too. And then they're going to be like, hey, would you like to be in a sales management position? It pays more. And then you're going to be like, I'm responsible for other people's pay and other people's performance. So you're going to have to learn that skill again.
Right.
But somewhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's the same skill. You get too good at anything, people are going to ask you to help manage, more people.
Yeah.
That's what growth looks like. And so we try to explain to everybody it's this is what is looked at as opportunity if you could reframe it correctly.
Right. Yeah, I guess, it's enjoying the quote unquote sales aspect of it, but maybe being resistant of stepping into a leadership position. And I think, like, personally, I believe like that's for somebody or for some people, but maybe not for others. So
agreed.
I also think there has to be, it used to be there was a overall notion that when you got a job, it's not going to always be fun.
Yeah.
And it feels like a lot of people now are expecting jobs to always be fun, or else they're going to go find a different job.
That just looks more fun.
Yeah.
But just isn't more fun.
Grass is always greener.
That's right.
Yeah. And so
once you get that mindset, it's very hard to get out of it.
Yeah. And when we interview people now, that's one of the main things that I hit on. I was like, all of this is fun now, and you're interested in it now, but you haven't talked about it 100,000 times in your life.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's not going to be fun anymore.
Yeah.
I once had a guy that worked for me named Kevin Wilhite, and he probably thinks I don't remember this, but he just had hung out for an extended period of time on spring break with his now wife and mother of his child. And he, that was when you guys met, right?
Yeah, it was.
And it was at Gulf Shores.
PCB. Gulf Shores was the year before, but PCB was where we met.
And then after you get back, I was like, hey, so, how are you feeling? Are you like ready to get back to the grind? Like excited? And you're like, be honest with you, man. No.
That break was nice.
You were like,
I wish it was longer.
You're like, honestly, like, I wish I was more excited, but to be honest with you, you're like, man, this is a grind. And I had a full week drinking beer on a beach.
Yeah.
With a woman that I now, so you're like, man, I'm like, welcome. This is, I'm glad that you said that.
This is life.
Right.
This is like this is just a new skill.
Yeah.
You're recognizing that, like, because life out of school is very different. And when you're in college and you have a cool job that you enjoy, there's a lot of built-in breaks. You get these finish lines that are smaller, right? The end of semester, finals, spring break, fall break, all these different breaks. And as an adult, you just don't get any of that. There is not any of these like penciled in finish lines that you get to look forward to. You have to create those yourself. And then you have to do that while also balancing who else is taking that time off. And if I take that time off, will somebody be surpassing me in my journey, in my quest to try to climb or grow, et cetera. And it's just a lot of pressure, and you don't have to make any of those hard decisions when you're in school, not so much. And so I just remember you coming back and me being like, hey, you ready to work 40 hours a week again? And you're like, oh. You're like, no, actually, dude, I'm going to leave and work 60 to 90.
Yeah.
When I got moved to St. Louis, I took over 3 underperforming stores. And I remember when Mike Taylor was like, hey man, I need you to go run Brentwood for me. And I was just like,
and for our listeners, like Brentwood's 100 people a day type of place.
I was like, oh, because I mean, it was starting over, and you're just like, oh man, that is going to be a lot of work. But doing that over time basically got me to the point where when we opened in Kansas City, we could just basically say, screw everything else. I will take every transaction. I will work every day, and it will not even bother me. Because
and it really
I used to
happened just
think
like
about that when I was working our store here and working every day. I'm like, this is not half as hard as working most of what I did in St. Louis, because there is less people. I get more time with people. I can create better relationships with people. But if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't have been able to basically sustain that in the beginning of us opening here in Kansas City, which I'm really thankful for.
And where that passes along to is we just had a monthly meeting with our entire team, and our team down in Owasso phones in for it. And so we tapped our two guys, our two managers that we sent down there. We shoulder tapped them and said, like, hey guys, like, how confident would you be going into a new market now that you've lived this experience now for the last 6 months? And they're like, oh, we have zero doubts.
Nice.
And it's like, that's exactly what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
You guys have started from scratch, and you've built something really cool down there to where we want to put in another location. And now they've lived it, so they know it.
Right.
We also were just talking about the difference between sticks and carrots. And we're like, hey, Bob, Dylan, how often are we like bothering you or coming down on you or any of that? They're like, never. I'm like, yeah, because you guys know the carrot. You guys have the carrot. You guys are carrot people. If you were stick people and we had to threaten you, well, guess what? We're not going to send you to a different market.
Right.
So trying to get our managers to understand that, like, you have to become your own stick and you have to find your own motivation. If you don't find that, you're at the level that you're going to stay at. And it doesn't matter if it's here, doesn't matter if it's another place. If you're a stick person, there's only so high you can rise.
The self-starter, it's easier said than done.
Yeah. And and if you have people where you have to be the stick people for them, that's a constant job for you guys to be coming down on them, or if you just can put a carrot and they know it's real, then it's, a lot less work on your guys' part. So
the carrot thing even just goes down to, like, if you're running a bonus for like transaction growth or something like that, the people that are going after that bonus, and we all know that because we've been doing this long enough, it's very easy to tell the people that are actually working hard towards something like that, they just get a little check mark in my brain. All right. That's who that person is. You know what I'm saying? I want people to be able to chase wins. And it doesn't even matter if they're like after the money per se. It's just like, do they want to win?
Right.
Do they compete?
Yeah. I think there's an element too for you guys and for you guys down in the Tulsa market is when it's your own, you're just, it's easier to work quite a bit harder, to be honest. Yeah. As
your success is 100% attached to your performance.
There is a built-in stick there, and it's called just going out of business.
Yeah. Bankruptcy.
Being broke. You get enough paychecks at a place where you know that you put in less than stellar performance.
Yep.
You start to subconsciously you're being told, I still get paid.
Yeah.
And so that's why performance pay is so important for people who are trying to grow as people. And they always say, go work the corporate life so they can, dangle a little bit more money in with you every single year, give you just that, that warm and cozy feeling. And it's like, are you hitting your potential? That's what I'd ask, So I don't think there's a right answer. I think that's the right path for a lot of people. But that's why it can also be so alluring to people that are within our systems. Man, I get this guarantee over here. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And, for a lot of people, that's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't give anybody shame over that.
Yeah.
When it comes to
the old Andy quote, man, you're paying the price one way or the other. So it's like, you got to kind of choose, am I going to stuff this amount of work into, 8 or 10 years of my 20s, or am I going to drag it out over a very, very long period of time, which a lot of people do,
Yeah. We had our guy that's moved over to our first full-time Define Nutrition role. He was one that he had finished very similar to me. He had finished 2 years of college, decided he didn't really want to go to college anymore, and decided that he wanted to work for us, and decided to drop out of college and kind of go all in on it. And he's just had a fantastic mindset. I just earlier this week had his annual review. So he's been around for 4 years, and he just moved into, again, this full-time Define Nutrition spot. And it was so cool for him to say, man, I legitimately just spent, the last 4 years of my life, which would have been the same amount of time I would have spent in college, and worked in the store. I got paid. I got promoted. I managed a store. I learned a lot of skills, not just people, but leadership wise. And I moved into a position that's on the full-time Defined Nutrition side of things. And if you would have asked me on my very first day, and I did, and I remember his answer, but he's like, if you remember talking about this on my first interview, my long-term goal was to work for a supplement company that we could grow to be the best in the industry and be the head formulator, work with the products and grow the brand. And he's like, I just spent, the last, essentially my college career actually getting paid and learning, and now have my dream job. So
that's awesome. That's incredible, man. And he's prepared for it, and he doesn't have the imposter syndrome for it.
Right.
There's that year of college, or the year after college for a lot of people where they're just kind of like, I just hope to get on somewhere and belong.
Right.
I mean, college is legitimately just a bad investment at this point for a lot of people. It's like,
I don't know. I would take skills and experience over anything, but we just had a final interview recently, and we were talking to somebody who decided not to go the college route, and he was like, why did you guys go to college? And so all of us have degrees, and I was like,
because I'm old, son. We used to do that back in my day.
Yeah. Well, you can look at it like that, but even the years that we were there, as you know, Kevin, like there was a ton of people that didn't make it, a ton, and I said, it does tell me one thing about you. That's a paramount value. That is that you finish what you start. And, it doesn't mean that you have to finish it in a traditional route or in a traditional path. Maybe you get the last year online, whatever it may be, but it's just a very cool thing to say that you finished what you started and you earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes down to, what do you want to finish? What do you want to finish that you've started, kind of deal as well. So,
this is
Did you finish
college?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't think so.
You were actually I think you might've been the first person I told that I was going to be dropping out
and going full-time S2 at the time. Which was a very hot thing to do at the time on our staff. A handful of those at the same time.
It's crazy.
I'll never advise people, and I hope you remember, I did not advise you to say, yes, you should do that.
No.
But it's not that, it's like, dude, you got to make your own path. You got to, make your own choices. But, we finished school. Would I have gone back and done it again? No, absolutely not. I learned very little from my traditional school path that I took. And I had 1 year of an internship. Remember, I worked for the Cardinals for a year. And it's like I learned way more in that internship from real life experience than sitting behind a desk and reading a textbook.
I'm pretty sure you told me about verbatim the same thing, probably 10 years ago now when I was dropping out of college. So
I wish, when I was in college, there was just somebody out there that would have been like, hey, man, let's look at the ROI of this degree. So I want you to actually figure out like what the average incoming rate of this degree is. I want you to find out like what the top end of that is, and then how many people actually make it into that top end. And then I want you to figure out how many people are in, or how many jobs there are available in that degree in that town. Just do that. And then decide if you still want to have that degree. Because it's like, for me, do you remember like when we were in college, everything was like, are you interested in that? Yeah, and it's like, that is so, now I'm at the point I'm at now. I'm like, that is such a dumb way. Are you interested in that, to like throw $60,000, $70,000 in the drain over that,
and spend your entire life doing that?
Want to hear something hilarious?
Are you interested in it? Like, it's like, dude, like, is anybody like, I don't know. My brain works differently now.
Been dreaming of these Excel sheets. Thank you. My major when I first started, right, you go to advisory class, they like tell you, these are the things you can major in. I was like, well, I've always been good at sales. So I was like, maybe I'll make my major selling, right? And like the first day it was like talking about sales in class that I actually got, that was a sales class. And I was like, oh, this is for people that don't do good at sales, more or less. I was like, this is brutal. So I ended up doing I did a writing degree because I was a terrible writer and was thinking like, all right, maybe I'll be a better, more well-rounded employee. Yeah. So now I write
those thank you cards.
Now I just chat GPT.
No, I mean, I was at S2 for, I think about a year and a half. And I learned more in that year and a half, exponentially more in that year and a half than I did in the 3 years I was in school.
Tell me this. What's your favorite S2 memory, if you have one?
Favorite S2 memory? Oh man, there's a lot of good ones. One that pops into mind is, oh man, going to Fuddruckers for company meeting and watching Peyton Johnson.
The cheese? The jalapeno cheese that he was just drinking?
I don't remember that.
I remember this one. Sorry.
No. It might have been the same night. But watching, I think it was like Thomas that like looked around and he's like, you guys want to, everybody had their milkshakes. And he's like, you guys want to have a race to see who can drink their milkshakes the fastest? And without hesitation, Peyton Johnson stands up and drinks his milkshake faster than I could have dumped mine on the floor.
Oh, brain freeze. Nightmare.
He also did the Blaze and Wing challenge and got his like picture on the wall. And
did he really?
He like didn't even need water. It was like, it was back when Blazing was like actually Blazing. Apparently, like people tell me now that it's like way easier and it's not as nearly.
Peyton,
maybe some lawsuits happened. I have no idea.
Peyton worked up here for us for a while, and he went on he was a manager for us, and we went on a float trip, and I watched Peyton eat a live crawdad. And I was like,
as these middle-aged women were telling him to copter us.
I was like, dude, I don't know what the ramifications are of that, but hopefully you're okay.
He had a lot,
he's still kicking.
He had a lot of stomach issues when he was working for us. We don't know why.
Yeah, weird. I remember
no correlation
at your loft in Springfield.
There it is. Luke, get it. This is exactly what we're talking about. The loft in Springfield. Sorry, go ahead. Peyton's all the way on the left there.
That's Jake and Spencer and
Spencer has a gym in Springfield that's really popular.
This is right before I moved. I knew I was going to St. Louis.
Married a girl he met in the store.
Kyle, is that you on the left there?
Yeah, I knew I was going to St. Louis. I was basically done in Springfield.
Can we just give a shout out to my Sammy the Snowman on the right and the Christmas wrapped photos for two grown men that live at this place?
I also like my hoodie. My hoodie looks like I could kickflip better than Kevin.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely. Honestly, dude.
Hurley, at least a Hurley hoodie. But yeah, those are some classic times for sure. The chugging. You know what's crazy? Were you around for like the new hire hazing? When it was like we would just have them do fun stuff when they get started.
Like karaoke?
Karaoke, yeah. Then it turned into like we're going to put together this like hodgepodge of pre-workout stuff.
Salting challenge.
And have you chug this one drink, whatever the one drink is, and or like take two lipo shred.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I first started.
Quit.
Was the adrenal prime challenge of having to take, I don't know, X amount of adrenal prime from
just flush your skin out completely.
Yeah. Completely just miserable.
Show off that one. That's a classic. Everybody just going to town at Lambert's.
Chad,
look at Kevin's shaved head, dude. Those are the days.
Back when I was getting myself my own haircuts. This was a fateful night actually. I earned the nickname Tiny Tummy. That stuck with me legitimately for probably 5 years because like you said, it was at Lambert's and I ate too many rolls, and so we went.
Classic mistake.
Yeah, I think it was my first time at Lambert. So I made rookie mistakes.
Rolls. Home of the thrown roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously make it count.
And they were delicious. But that group in particular was always a competition on who could eat the most. So everybody, is counting up how many times, because for those that don't know, at Lambert's you can get, if you finish your entree, they'll bring you an entire another one for free, if I remember right.
And if you want to take it home, you can. They give you sheets of aluminum
unlimited
foil.
Food.
Yeah, but that's the fun thing about
your
like
gullet.
Unlimited food. It's all you can eat, but you have to finish your entree. Mm-hmm. But if you want to take it home, they'll just hand you a sheet of foil.
I didn't remember that. but everybody's like totaling up like, oh, you know, I ate 2 or I ate 3. I think Chad ate like 6 steaks, which is why he had to stand up in that video. He couldn't sit down and
jump to digest it.
Yeah. And I couldn't even finish one because I ate so many rolls to begin with. And that's where I got the nickname Tiny Tummy that stuck with me for about 5 years. So,
well, dude, I love going down memory lane with you, but I want to say just how proud of you we are, seeing what you guys are doing down there.
Very cool watching, man.
Yeah, it's fun to watch you guys grow. It's fun to see what you guys are doing with your own podcast, with your own brand, and building a really strong culture down in Oklahoma City. So just want to give you a lot of props, man.
Well, man, I thank you guys for being such an inspiration to me and a lot of our staff in Oklahoma City, especially on the Triad side of things, but also on the Define Nutrition side of things, just in general. I mean, you asked me about, who we look to for inspiration, and we keep up with what you guys are doing, man, because you guys are hugely inspiring. Like I talked about, how cool it was to see you guys when you first brought on, moved on the first district manager. It was like, man, I can't wait till we hit those days. Like, how cool will that be? Like, man, that's something that I really want to do at some point. And obviously you guys are just absolutely crushing it, going into new markets. Like I mentioned before, Tulsa is just a prime market. So good for you guys for taking that one, or getting after it anyway. Man, and Kyle, I know we didn't have the pleasure of working with each other as much back in the day, but I know that talking with especially Chad and the rest of the guys, how much you had an influence on them and how much that got passed to me, and Jeff, you running those stores, and how much I learned, where I talked about, learning more in that year and a half that I was there than I did in my 3 years of school. Is you guys were a big reason for that, and again today still continue to be a big inspiration for me. So, man, being part of this podcast was actually I legitimately wrote it down on my notes of a goal I wanted to accomplish. Is like, man, I would love to be a guest on the Protein Bros podcast.
That's awesome.
Well, it's completely organic, dude. Yeah. We saw that you were penciled in as the guest, and we're like, oh, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man. We usually wrap these up with where they can find you, and we'll do that still. But we always ask where the best place in Kansas City is to get barbecue. And since you're not a Kansas City tell us, if we were to go visit Oklahoma City, where is the go-to spot for food? Since we just got done talking about the food challenges in your tiny tummy.
Go-to spot for food? Does it have to be barbecue? Or
no,
can
no. The spot. Like if you're going to Oklahoma City, what is
Oklahoma City
what's the
known
go-to
for?
spot? Where's the Lamberts? Where's the spot?
It's known for a couple of things, but not like super well known. Like onion burgers is kind of a thing there, but
love an onion burger.
Yeah.
Is this just a burger with onions on it?
I'm assuming they're grilled onions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like okay, I think they have that everywhere. Yeah. Though, so hopefully, I don't know. I'm obviously not born and raised in Oklahoma, so
well, they kind of have their barbecue everywhere too.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Man, I would go Empire Slice House, and it's probably because I just scrolled past one of their posts. It's New York style pizza in Oklahoma, and it's a little bit novelty, but it's just absolutely delicious. So
this would probably be a good Thomas question.
Is there any flop?
Thomas, I'm sure, knows some really good food spots.
I ask him anytime I'm looking for something new. So yeah,
is Thomas the Jeff Wasserman of Oklahoma City?
Well, when it comes to food,
yeah,
I'm sure he's the Thomas Oglesby of Oklahoma City.
He probably knows. Yeah,
there's zero places I've ever ate in Kansas City that Jeff hasn't already tried before me.
Yeah. I have correct food opinions, man.
Well, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
They can find me on Instagram. I am Wilhite, WILHITE _Kevin. I try and stay pretty active there. You can follow Define Nutrition. I think that is Define_Nutrition on Instagram. We're also on Facebook on all this stuff as well. Obviously, if you guys are customers here at Supplement Superstores, you can now start to find some of our Define products here. And at Triad, we stay pretty active there. That is on Instagram, it's Triad FSN. That's probably where we're most active.
Fitness, supplements, nutrition?
Correct. And but yeah, that's typically three places that you can find us.
Such a pleasure, man. It's great talking to you.
It was great catching up with you guys.
Send our best to Alyssa, to Riley, and to Thomas as well.
Absolutely.